Shishanyavadi Aschachari Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let's go to the invocation mantra. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya
Shalakaya
Chakshurun Militam Yena
Chakshurumiritam Yena
Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance.
I was born in the darkest ignorance.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
With the torch of knowledge.
With the torch of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Jai Hare Krishna. So I hope everyone's doing well. And are the birds chirping where you are in Florida? Are the alligators coming out? Tell us what verse we're on today.
1037.
1037. Thank you. All right. So here we have the opulence of the absolute. Text 37, and we have it there on the screen. Rishinam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjaya Muninam Apyam Yasa Kavinam Ushana Kavihi. Translation. O descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudev. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudev. And of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyas. And among great thinkers, I am Ushana. Purport. Would anybody like to read this first paragraph?
Curtis, can you go?
Yeah, I can. Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead, and Baladev is Krishna's immediate expansion. Both Lord Krishna and Baladev appeared as sons of Vasudev, so both of them may be called Vasudev. From another point of view, because Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, all the forms of Krishna that appear elsewhere are his expansions. Vasudev is Krishna's immediate expansion, so Vasudev is not different from Krishna. It is to be understood that the Vasudev referred to in the verses of the Bhagavad Gita is Baladev or Balaram, because he is the original source of all incarnations, and thus he is the sole source of Vasudev. The immediate expansions of the Lord are called Savamsya, personal expansion.
Swamsha.
Swamsha, okay.
Good.
And there are also expansions called Vibhinasamsha. Is that right?
Vibhinamsha.
Vibhinamsha, okay. Separate expansions.
Great. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. I think we can get someone to do the next paragraph.
I can do the next paragraph. Amongst the sons of Pandu, Arjuna is famous as Dhananjaya. He is the best of men and therefore represents Krishna. Among the Munis or learned men conversant in Vedic knowledge, Vyasa is the greatest because he explained Vedic knowledge in many different ways for the understanding of the common mass of people in this age of Kali. And Vyasa is also known as an incarnation of Krishna. Therefore, Vyasa also represents Krishna. Kavis are those who are capable of thinking thoroughly on any subject matter. Among the Kavis, Ushana Sukhochaya was the spiritual master of the demons. He was an extremely intelligent and far-seeing politician. Thus, Sukhochaya is another representative of the opulence of Krishna.
So thank you very much. So we're getting closer to the end of the list of the opulences. So we'll take special care to go over the points that are made for us today. Okay, so the Vrishni dynasty is the dynasty in which Krishna appears. And this is the first point that's made. It is Vasudeva amongst all of these Vrishni people. Vasudeva is sometimes translated as the cause of all causes. Definitely the son of Vasudeva. So we won't get confused about that. There's a Vasudeva and there's Vasudeva. There's a difference in the pronunciation. So Vasudeva is Krishna's father, the actual person who was there to be instrumental in bringing about the birth of Krishna. You can say he's like the biological father. And so Vasudeva refers to the son of Vasudeva, which is the name of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada goes through a little bit of an extra mile to describe a little bit about Krishna's, who he is, and that he expands or duplicates himself. Those people who are first like newcomers to the Bhagavad Gita may not know exactly all these different facets of Krishna, but they'll get to know once they read more literature, especially if they look at Krishna, the book called Krishna, or the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. So we know that Krishna came and was transferred by his father Vasudeva from a prison in the city of Mathura and brought to the area of the Mathura district, not Mathura the city, but a district in which we find Vrindavan, Gokula, rural areas. And Krishna, it's the same Krishna that was there, but when he leaves Vrindavan, after having enacted beautiful pastimes as a baby, growing up as a mere child even before puberty, he then goes to Mathura. And when he does so, he does in a different expansion. That might not be a very important detail for people to know. It might go over people's heads, but let us refer once again to the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara means Krishna's mystical. He can do anything. He can duplicate himself. He can clone himself, I guess, if you will. That's kind of like a common word. I don't know the difference between, duplicating and clone, but he can certainly be in one place and be somewhere else at the same time, in the same kind of form, enacting a whole different pastime. So he has the ability to do that. In one sense, Prabhupada's teasing us a little bit with this information and the purport. Those who really want to find out more about Krishna, they can certainly read more about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in various texts that Prabhupada has put out for us, so that we can understand how, let's say, magical Krishna really is. So in terms of some of the new words that that Curtis was getting familiar with here, Swangsha means when the Lord expands himself or duplicates himself to be somewhere else. You wouldn't know the difference between that Krishna and the other one, the Swangsha. So that is one expansion. Another one is Vibhanangsha. Vibhanangsha refers to the various living entities. That, like us, we're included in there. Mamaivangsho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. That's in the Bhagavad Gita also. And there the Lord is saying that all the living entities are separated parts and parcels. So we are coming from the Lord, but we are not the Lord. That's the difference. When we talk about Svangsha, then we are referring to Krishna directly, who's duplicating himself. There are two other terms that we could use. that are equated to these phrases. It's good to know some of these words. You might like to write them down. An equivalent to Swangsha is what we call Vishnu Tattva, right? Tattva means reality, okay? And then Vibhanansha refers to the other Sanskrit word is Jiva Tattva. So we're all Jivas. We're individual spirit souls who are a part and parcel of the Lord. We're not the whole. We are part of the whole, but we are not the whole. Okay, so let's say your mother bakes you a pie, and it's apple pie, you know, and it gets cut into little strips. Pies have been used for, you know, to, let's say, express when you're doing graphs and surveys, and you know, you say you want to get percentages, so we use the pie concept. It's a circle which has lines through it, you know, and it meets in the middle. And so when you make a pie and you cut it up into little pieces so you can enjoy it, we are one of those little pies, you know. We're not the whole pie. Hardly anybody can eat a whole pie, or you'll get diabetes real fast if you keep eating whole pies. So it's just little pieces that we take. So we're little pieces, that's what we are. So Vibhanansha, the other word for it is Jiva Tattva, and Swangsha, the other term for that is Vishnu Tattva. Okay, so we will never be Vishnu Tattva, unfortunately. Okay. Okay, that's the way it is. Let's look at some of the other. Anybody have any questions on that or thoughts, elaborations on this, perhaps? Okay.
Miraj, is there anyone besides Krishna who is Vishnu Tattva?
Yes, there are a lot of Vishnu Tattvas. The various incarnations that we read about, like in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, there's gonna be a list of at least about 20, 21, somewhere in that vicinity, Vishnu Tattvas that are going to be described in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Yeah, so they're there. And another reference would be the Das Avatar. It was Jayadev Goswami who kind of popularized these 10 incarnations that people seem to have a lot of affinity towards. Yeah, so they are just that. They are avatars again, Vishnu Tattva avatars. They're coming from a higher plane, coming down into this lower plane with the purpose to elevate the consciousness of people and bring them back, bring the conditioned souls back up to the spiritual realm from where we originally came. Yeah, so there's quite a few Vishnu Tattvas, and you can read about them in the Bhagavatam. Some of devotees' favorites are Ram, Balaram's in that list too. Parashuram, there's 3 Rams in that list of 10. There's also Narasingha. A lot of people love the lion, half man, half lion incarnation. And there's Vamanadev, the cute little boy who was, you know, sports an umbrella, and he wears deer skin for cloth. He has matted hair, and he's like a little pundit. He walks around really absolutely adorable, and he has his challenge with the great King Bali, which is also in the 10th. It's in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. So there are lots of Vishnu Tattvas. But God, having many expansions of himself, or he's manifesting different aspects of himself. Let's say manifestations of God, right? So when it comes to Vibhanansha, of course, Jiva Tattva, there's many of us, all of us individuals. And we can never claim to be equal to Vishnu Tattva. Somebody has suggested that to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he blocked his ears, you know. it is an offense, it's an aparad to call a conditioned soul Vishnu or be a Vishnu Tattva. Of course, we know that Chaitanya was God himself, Krishna himself. The Shastras will have predicted that he would come. But he was playing like a conditioned soul. He said, no, don't call me God. One time devotees were saying that Prabhupada was Krishna. And that was one of the biggest challenges that ever happened to our society, our movement. There was a whole bunch of popular charismatic swamis, or a bunch of them, saying Prabhupada is Krishna. So when he heard that, he called a meeting of all the GDC members, or his trusted leaders at the time. And he said, you know what they are saying about me? You get on the phone, he rarely used the phone. You don't know what they're saying. So you must come over right away. So people spend money on like tickets from different parts of the US especially. And they came together and Prabhupada tried to straighten this out that, no, I am not Krishna. That is the philosophy. So Prabhupada's in the category of Jiva Tattva. You are also a Jiva Tattva. And go to Chandra and looking at him, Gunam. You're a Jiva Tattva and you should be happy that you are. Okay. So, just to make it real simple, and to answer your question, yes, there are lots of different manifestations of Krishna, different incarnations, or different avatars. Okay? And the Bhagavatam is full of descriptions of them. And they do superhuman acts. They can do superhuman feats. So this disqualifies them as being Jiva Tattva. But Jiva Tattva, let's put it the way, some yogis are able to do some extraordinary things, but it still doesn't qualify them as being God. Okay, let's look at the rest of what this verse is trying to tell us. Amongst the sons of, I'm sorry, somebody else want to say something?
Yeah, Hari has a question. He has his hand.
Hari.
Yeah, Haripad Das. Maharaj, what about Srimati Radharani?
She's an expansion of the Lord in what's called the Hladini potency, and so she's not in the Jiva Tattva category. It's also, if we want to split hairs, we can also talk about Shiva. He's also not Vishnu Tattva, and he's not Jiva Tattva. He's in his own category. But to draw a simple line and to make it really clear, we have Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. And Radharani is what we call the Hladini pleasure potency of the Lord, an aspect of the Lord. Shiva is also a manifestation of an aspect of the Lord. So like if you want to get a little more complicated about things, and then you will be looking at one more tattva at least, and one more reality. So Radharani is one of those realities. And although she's not Krishna, she expresses a certain aspect of Krishna. She's a personification of an aspect of Krishna. She's the loving potency of the Lord, the joyful potency of the Lord. Is that okay? I mean, I'm just saying that the Goswamis have basically done a lot of analysis in this area. And these are some of the points that they make in their writings so that we can understand better the position of everyone.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, and we also don't have a problem with praising the Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva in the same breath. We don't have a problem. Like when we chant the Panchatattva mantra, we're talking about Krishna, Chaitanya is Krishna. We're talking about Nityananda also is Vishnu expansion. We're talking about Advaita Shiva expansion. And we're talking about Gadadhar. He is the Radharani expansion. Srivas represents someone like Narada. So they're different tattvas, different kinds of incarnations. So sometimes you hear devotees say, Jayendra Singh Dev, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Well, one is Jiva, one is Vishnu, right? And yet in the same breath, we can glorify them because they're both spiritual. I hope that that's a little more clear. Haripadji?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, thank you very much. That was wonderful, Maharaj. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay, well, you're wonderful. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
So Prabhupada says that Nanda Nandan Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So
Yeah.
those Krishna in Dwarka is Vasudeva. Now, what about Krishna in Mathura?
Well, when he steps out of Vrindavan, he's basically another, expansion. He's another duplication. Yeah. Because when he goes to into Kamsa's domain, he's one but different. We say, the Goswamis inform us that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He's always present in some shape or form. We have the eyes, you can see him. Yeah, so wherever he may go, this place, that place, Kurukshetra, what other places does he visit? He goes pretty much in different directions, and it's a different expansion, as Prabhupada uses the term, to enact different pastimes. One and the same, one but different, sorry, I mean to say. One but different.
Thank you, man.
It's almost like for every Leela, every occasion, he's like a little different kind of person, just like when you go somewhere traveling, you might buy a set of clothes that just suit for that trip, or you just become a little different person a little bit because of the environment. So when the Lord goes to different locations, he seems to travel a bit, then he's supposed to be a different person. So some of the Goswamis may have written greater detail about, which expansion he is in this place and that place, but the general rule is that when the Lord leaves Vrindavan to go to a particular location, he becomes someone else, and yet he's the same person. It would be hard to understand, to see a difference. Okay, so let's go on to the next. Among the sons of Pandu, Arjuna is listed. Does anybody have an issue with that? Why not Yudhishthira?
Maharaj,
Why not Yudhishthira? I mean, he was the emblem of Dharma. You wouldn't tell a lie. He represents everything that's righteous. He stood for righteousness, fairness. Why not the oldest? Why not the oldest of the brothers, of the five brothers? Why would Arjuna be chosen?
Maharaj,
Yes.
do you have your headset there for you to wear?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Your voice is going up and down.
Sometimes that's up.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get it on. Sorry, maybe I'm being a little bit dramatical and moving my head a little bit too much. Okay, I'm going to plug in now.
Thank you.
Okay, how is that?
Thank you.
Très bien, as they would say in French. Très bien, much better.
Vous étiez à Montréal, c'est ça?
Yeah, it was just a
You were in
Montreal.
Montreal, really?
I was just there. I just came back from there yesterday. Comment allez-vous, monsieur? How are you doing?
Très bien.
Anyways,
Très bien.
très bien. Okay. I'm sorry. We know French a little bit better up here up north, and we don't know Spanish as much. Anyways, let's move along. Arjuna is recognized. Why don't we just throw it out there? Why, just to get for the sake of a conversation? Why Arjuna? Why not Bhima? He's very powerful. He did so much so many heroic things. Why not the common, quiet, and handsome sons of that were the younger brothers of the Pandavas? Why not Nakula and Sahadev? Why Arjuna? Does anybody want to say?
Arjuna had a special relationship with Krishna. He was
Yes.
always spending so much time with Krishna. He was sitting on a chariot with him, and he won the tournament when it came to archery.
Right. Yes, you're right. A special relationship was there, most definitely. And in the next chapter, chapter 11, we're going to find out that Arjuna comes out and he confesses, I'm so sorry, Krishna. I took you to be an ordinary person so many times. I got so familiar with you. We would jack around like friends would do. But I realized that you're not just a friend, you're God. Yeah. So Arjuna apologized for that sort of friendliness, that buddy mentality. And but Krishna was not offended. In fact, he likes friends. He loves friends. And he's happy that he doesn't have to see everyone as his servant, that not everybody treats him like that. He's so thrilled that some people can come along and say, hey, listen, let's have a little competition here, And Krishna loves that kind of challenge. He loves that kind of rush, to be able to be in combat with a peer and play fight and that kind of thing. So it's definitely the right answer, I would say. And Krishna does say, because you are my devotee and you are my friend. Two things that really caused Krishna to open up to Arjuna. Okay. Krishna could have selected Yudhishthira, right? He could have said, well, why don't we go out? You draw, I'll draw the horses. You get in the chariot. And he could have asked Bhima, he could have asked Nakul and Sahadev, but no, it was the man in the middle. Man in the middle, it was Arjuna that was chosen because he proved himself to be very devoted, and so did the others, but he was a special friend. Okay. Doesn't everybody like Arjuna? Isn't he a big hero for everybody? Don't we relate to him? Yeah, I see a thumbs up coming up here and there. Yeah. We relate to him because he had a little bit of he sort of fell from grace. He kind of stumbled along right there in the beginning of the Gita, and then we feel for him. Said, oh, there's this poor guy. And then you might have different thoughts about him. Oh, look, he can't stand up on the battle, yet he's a warrior. What kind of man is he, But then we can understand the overwhelming feature in which he was supposed to project himself. He was supposed to take up arms against family. And so that made it, you can see from a different perspective that way. But yeah, Arjun's the main guy there, man in the middle. Okay. The munis that are expressed here, munis are those who are sages. And they generally live simple. And a Muni is someone else who may be very much involved in, like Jnaniism, try to sort things out in the head, be quite a philosopher. And usually a Sthitidi Muni, Prabhupada talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. Sthitidi Muni means one who's come to a conclusion about the way of the world, that Krishna is God and so on like that. But amongst the Munis we have listed Vyasa. Vyasadeva was a sadhu who compiled the Vedas, and the Vedas are meant for people of all different backgrounds, Brahmas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, people who are influenced by different gunas, modes of nature. It's meant for everyone. So Vyasadeva was the one who got a lot of the stories out there. That's all compressed into the Bhagavatam. And the reason why these stories are so important is because they're captivating. They pull you in. They're not just mere philosophical truths, but it just makes everyone really interested in the stories. And interwoven in these incredible stories is the philosophy of surrender to Krishna. So Vyasa is credited. Anybody who wants to do the follow-up on Bhagavad Gita, the graduate study of the Bhagavad Gita is the Bhagavatam itself. And Vyasadeva takes a good chunk of our time in the first canto to understand, to appreciate what he's done for the world. He's been able to reach out. He's been able to adjust, and in the sense that he's been able to make it accessible, Vedic knowledge, through the Puranas, through the stories. So we're very grateful to him. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Anybody like to say something about Vyasa? I think he's a pretty cool dude. I think he's done amazing things. Reaching out to everyone and making it comprehensible.
He lived in the Himalaya mountains, right?
Yes, that's right.
And he was very unkept and long hair and long nails. And
yes, yeah.
unusual.
Yes, he was very detached from the world. Yeah. And, what can we say about him? He was blessed by Narada Muni, who was his guru, and he enlightened him. Vyasa had 4 Vedas, which was meant to, let's say, make Vedic knowledge accessible to the local people. But it wasn't enough. So Vyasadeva went to his guru and said, I don't feel fulfilled. What's missing? And then Narada came out and said, what's missing is you haven't sufficiently glorified the Lord. There's not enough there. So then he came up with the Bhagavatam, the Amalam Puranam, the stories of spotless nature. I mean, I think we all relish Bhagavatam classes because of the richness of what's in those books, those literatures. I think we all can appreciate them very much. And just like we do have the Ramayana, that epical tale, we do have Mahabharata, but you see touches of that in the Bhagavatam and so much more. So that is the mercy of Vyasadeva. Let's not confuse Vyasadeva with Vasudeva or Vasudeva, okay? Because I think in the beginning people might get confused. Wait a minute, is it Vasudeva or is it Vasudeva or is it Vyasadeva? Okay, so we just need to get our people right. We need to know who's who. Any other questions on this? Okay, then we're talking about the Munis, and these Munis are not followers of Sun Young Moon, if anyone knows who that is. In our early days of Sankirtan, we'd always meet up with the Munis. And the reason why they're called the Munis is because they were taking the guidance of a Korean charismatic person, and his name was Sun Young Moon. His followers were called the Munis. we used to meet them all the time. Okay. Of sages, I'm Vyas, and among great thinkers, Kavi is Ushana. I don't know too much about this person, unless if someone has done some work on this. Somebody called me a Kavi the other day because they like my poetry, but I'm nothing like these persons here. Yeah. So great thinkers, we should be inspired by great thinkers. We inspired by sages, inspired by Vasudeva himself, and inspired by Arjuna. You may wonder, what do these all have in common? What does Vasudeva, and what does Arjuna and Vyasadeva and Ushana, what do they all have in common? Well, you might be able to detect some connections here. Okay, because in the Vrishni dynasty, we have the Pandavas, and we have our Vyasadeva himself is the one who is considered to be the Vedic literature's personified, the literary incarnation of the Lord. That's a big title. That's a big deal. And among great thinkers, Ushana. So
Ushana is another name for Shukracharya.
Shukracharya. Yes, we are. That's right. Shukracharya, we can read a little bit about him also in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. And Shukracharya refers to a teacher who was famous through seminally. He would, let's say, people would be qualified through a seminal lineage and not necessarily through qualification. Shukracharya is somewhat given a bad rap in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. He's not looked upon very favorably. He, he taught Bali that you must always, because he's his guru, Shukracharya Bali, he taught him that you must always give to the Brahmins. Okay, and Shukracharya is the guru for the asuras, the demons. And then when the Lord appeared as a Brahmin in the form of this cute little guy we were talking about, Vamanadev, Shukracharya was quite perceptive. He said to Bali, I know you're charitable, I know you like to give, but don't give to this person if he asks you anything. I said, well, why not? He's a Brahmin. Said, but I'm telling you, he's Vishnu in disguise. He's Lord Hari in disguise. Doesn't Lord Hari also deserve to get some attention? And it was Shukracharya was dead against Bali giving anything in charity. So the Brahmin came, and like a proper king, he would say, what is it that you would like, my dear Brahmin? And Bali heard from Vamanadev something very profound. He said, well, you can give me whatever you like, but you can give me half the universe, but that will never satisfy my senses, because the senses are not to be gratified. And Bali was generous. They said, I can give you so much. I said, no, not really. Well, okay, if you insist. Okay, all I need is 3 steps of land, like 3 dwarf steps of land, like a little kid the three steps of territory. Is that all you want? I can give you so much more. No, I'll be satisfied. You know, I'll be satisfied with that. So he said, okay, then you'll have it. And Vamanadev, who was just very small, tiny, quaint, he expanded himself. He became a giant, and up to the, limits where you could not practically see him. He was so tall. So then he made his famous 3 steps. He's like, you can say, the walking avatar. He's a walking hero. Took 1 step and they pierced the side wall of the universe. He took another step and he took the second half of it, and then he covered the whole universe with these 2 steps in his gigantic form. And then he looked down at Bali, so where do you want me to put the 3rd one? And Bali looks up and said, this is a great moment for me. I have great realizations now. And what I think I need you to do is to put your 3rd step on my head. Now, the Lord is very kind. Like if an elephant steps on your head, your skull is finished, right? It's gone, right? So the Lord could easily do that. But, he put his foot in such a way that he wouldn't crush the head. But he gave all that mercy because of the lotus feet, lotus footstep of the Lord, the 3rd step. Yeah, so Shukracharya was rejected. The thing is interesting about the story. Bali Maharaj traced in his guru's words a contradiction. First you say to a Brahmin, you must give. Now you're saying you should not give. And so he found that was very confusing for him. And so he said, I reject you. And, he showed more favor to the young Brahmin boy. Oh, this is not a regular practice that people give up their guru. This is not the way to go. But Shukracharya, his teachings were a little bit off, and therefore it's okay to reject someone who's misleading. Misleading. So yes, the point that you made, Vaishnavi, about Shukracharya and Ushana, yeah, he was a wise person. Wise people can be quite evil, or evil people can be quite sharp. It's a fact. They can get away with a lot of stuff. But that's not what the kind of people that Krishna wants to mold. He wants to mold goodness in all of us. Okay, so does anybody have any thoughts about what we've just been going through here?
Just quickly, that this and another case, very rare case, where the disciple is higher than the guru.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Somebody was trying to call in. I missed some of your words.
The very rare situation where the disciple is better than the guru is, in this case, Bali Maharaj is much more advanced than Shukracharya or Ushana. And Uddhava, who is the disciple of Brihaspati, he's so close to Krishna. So definitely he's much advanced than Brihaspati. So just a
point you want to make, right?
Yeah, it's very rare, these 2 instances.
Well, we can say that anyone who is a bona fide guru is all good, but some gurus can excel over others. They're like people in a box of mangoes, and every mango looks pretty great. The white, great, like the ripened or mature fruit of the Alfonso, mangoes, which everyone says they're the best in the world. Okay, but when you look at a box, some of those mangoes, they all look fairly the same, but some are going to be sweeter than the others. Some are going to be just right. Yeah, so we can give that same example of people who are great personalities, the likes of sages and gurus, but some might be, have a better, broader vision than others. And it is possible that sometimes the student can surpass the guru. Yes. It is in terms of Krishna consciousness, but they're both Krishna conscious. One is able to go deeper into it. And of course, we give the credit to the guru to allow for his or her disciple to excel. Right? I mean, Ram was in that mood. He let Hanuman have more glory than himself by jumping over the ocean, whereas Ram had to take some time here, step on this boulder and then the next one, and it took him some time, right? But all that Hanuman had to do was just say Jai Ram, and he leapt over the ocean. So Krishna's okay for letting the devotee get more glory than himself. It's an important point to make. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else, folks? Okay, then what else can we do? I guess we could.
I have a Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my
Yes.
So this is Haripad Das. I think
Yes.
the famous politician Chanakya
Yeah.
was not necessarily Krishna conscious.
Right.
I don't know, but he's supposed to have given, and Prabhupada quotes Chanakya, I think, in many different places.
Yes,
But
he does somewhat. Yeah.
so that, I mean, he's, I guess, not a great example of a devotee.
Well, but how do you want to sort of tie that into our subject here today? You're bringing up Chanakya Pandit because he was a great moralist, let's say.
He's a little bit like Sukracharya.
Okay, so we can take gold from stool. That's the idea. You can take some essential points of morality from Chanakya Pandit, even though perhaps he was not maybe the super greatest Vaishnava, but he was able to be a master and certain outlook, and so we can take examples. Prabhupada also quotes Gandhi and other people as well who were not necessarily in our lineage, but they were able to, exemplify certain qualities. Yeah, so Chanakya is quoted. That's right. Yeah. So we can quote from him. He's had a lot to offer. But the point Gaura Chandra is making is that is rare. It's rare for a disciple to exceed the guru in terms of wisdom and so on. Yeah, it is possible, but it might be rare. Usually the disciples or students become much like their guru, and achieve his level, but it's sometimes hard for them to surpass. But anyways, that's a good point. Thank you very much.
And
Okay.
Maharaj,
Yes.
I can add to that these are
Yes.
transcendental example, not ordinary example. Usually doesn't happen that the disciple is more advanced. These are exalted personality. Uddhava is Krishna's cousin, and Bali Maharaj is an exalted personality. So that's why ordinarily these things, they don't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there's exceptions to the rule. That's right. Yeah, good. Okay, Bruce, so I want to thank you very much, even though we got started just a little bit late. I think we covered, we're just doing a verse a week. Are you, Bruce, okay with that? Are we going fast enough? Or are we going at a good pace? I think I posed this question before. Are we doing all right?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah.
You are liking very much?
Yes. Very, very good.
All right. It's nice to have some devotees from Cleveland. And I think we got Ralph on here. He's from Toronto. Kirti Sharmas is from Vancouver. Moksha Leel's from the Toronto area. Yeah, Hari Murti and Sundamini, they're from Cleveland. Manisi Ganga from Mississauga. Rasaraj, same Brampton. Arjuna from Florida. Nitai Priya from Vancouver. We got Gunam from the Toronto area. And Sundamini, we mentioned already, in Ohio. And Curtis from good old Calgary. Yahoo! All right, and we won't forget our illustrious group from Florida, Alachua area. Hare Krishna. All right, so I guess we'll let you go then. I don't think
Yes.
we have any new poems because we have just a minute or two left. Yeah, I don't think of anything new. Did I read Books of the Basis last week? Did you get that one? Books of the Basis?
No, I can't remember.
Okay, since we're starting the marathon soon, let me get my book and I'll read from that. Okay, it's a shorty. It's short. Okay, hold on.
Yes, Maharaj. Please.
Okay. Here we go. Okay, Books of the Basis. That's the title and the subtitle. I've got 4 subtitles. Books of the Basis, Purity is the Force, Preaching is the Essence, and Utility is the Principle. So here we go. Books are the basis. They come in many cases and go to different places. Contents evoke happy faces, leaving many holy traces. Purity is the force, taking us to the great source. It is something to endorse. Can't learn it from any course. Lose it and you will remorse. Preaching is the essence, reaching young, old, adolescence, a service of super excellence, gaining Krishna's acceptance. In giving, we feel his presence. And utility is the principle, the state of being useful, sensible, practical, and comprehensible. Balancing the maximum and minimal, the key to reaching the pinnacle. Hare Krishna. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. So I want to thank you all very much. We're going to see you next week. Next week I'll be in Vancouver. We'll, we'll talk from there. But it's all the same Zoom. And Hare Krishna. Can't wait to see
Hare
you all.
Krishna, Maharaj. That was
Hare
a very
Krishna,
nice
Maharaj.
poem.
Thank you.
Jai.
Have safe travels. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, safety travels, safe travels.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank
Jai
you.
Bhaktimarga Swami. Jai
Thank you
Srila
so much.
Prabhupada.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyamcha
Patidonam
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Jai.
Take care, Maharaj.